Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on our next LinkedIn Live. My name is Justyna Brownbridge, and I am the Chief of Growth for Tribal Impact. And it is my absolute pleasure to join me today, Ignacio Lancuba from Generali, on this live on how Generali builds trusted advisors within its company. So, Ignacio, thank you very much for joining me. We've met before, right? This is not the first time we are working together because you presented at our social business exchange event less than 2 months ago, and we just wanted to bring you in front of our larger audience online because the things that you share about the programs that are being run within your company, I think, are of huge value to our audience. So if you could give us a bit of an introduction of what is your role at Generali? And maybe for those people who are not that familiar about Generali, because maybe British audience may not be as familiar, if you could just give us an overview about your company, that would be great too.
Of course. So first thing, Justyna, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Probably a lot of you were at the event that Justyna mentioned. If you weren't, you should be there. It was great stuff. Super fun as well. And very insightful. So I'm happy to be back. And yeah, with pleasure. Let's get to it. In terms of Generali, I really hope that even if you're in the UK, you know Generali. Generali is, it's a very big institution. We are over 190 years old, and we're one of the largest global insurance and asset management providers. We have around 68 million customers and close to 82 billion in premiums. And really, we're very much focused in Europe. So we're a global company. We really are all around the world. But I would say that around 70% of our business is really based in Europe, where we're pretty much in every single country. We also have some fun facts. I mean, Generali has a lot of different businesses that we expand into. One of them is real estate. So perhaps if you live in a major capital in Europe, I'm sure you will see big emblematic Generali buildings around Europe. And we also dabble a bit into winery and food. So we are one of the biggest eco food producers in Europe, and have 10 wineries, a lot of really quality beers. I mean, really, we do a lot of stuff, but the core of our business is insurance.
I didn't know that
There you
this
go.
is also something that your company specializes in.
There's a lot of people at Generali that don't know it themselves, So yeah, we know it because we're a group head office, and we're fortunate enough to have a shop at the office. So it's always great to buy a bit of Generali wine or Generali beer. It's not called Generali. We have different names like Leone Alato, so the lion with wings, right, which is our logo. That's one of our wineries. But we have really high quality stuff.
Gosh, interesting. I'll look out for that now. Thank you. And what's your role in Generali? What is it that you are responsible for?
Yeah, so I work within the marketing department, the group head office. And specifically, I work in a team called Distribution Experience. And our main mandate is, I would say, to really digitalize the distribution network across Generali. And this includes a lot of different things. It comes from making sure that they have the right tools to be able to sell remotely and interact with our customers remotely, to really enable them to be an advisor online and really be able to have a personal brand online and communicate effectively and engage online.
Okay, brilliant. Sounds like a very modern role, I would say. Yes.
It is. It sounds more modern than what it is, I can tell you, because being in insurance, we are a cautious player, I would say. So we do things that are already very much established in the market, and that we're not breaking barriers here. But it's always very much focused on digital, making sure that we generate business opportunities online, and above all that we enhance the value that our distribution network perceive of being online, of being present online, of really having that personal brand and the Generali brand, of course, in this other channel that they're not used to utilizing.
Okay. So if you were to tell us a bit more about the digital culture within the company, yes? What is it like within Generali?
It's a very good question. So within Generali, I would say it's hard because Generali is really, really big. Okay. But Where I work in, so within the distribution channel, definitely I would describe it as maturing. Okay, so we are in the middle of a journey. We started around 5 years ago, really, in this journey of digitalizing the distribution network. Some markets can be described as best in class. We do have some that are extremely proficient at it. But generally, I would say overall, we are maturing, and we can learn a lot from other industries, like the banking industry, for instance.
Okay. Thank you. And for those of you who are listening, this is live. Yes, we are live. Unless you are listening to a recording in a podcast or watching the live later on. The beauty of watching us live is that you've got a chat that you can join and actually interact with us. So if you have any questions or if you want to network with other attendees to this event, feel free to say hi in the chat and pop in your questions into the chat. We can see them, so we can get you involved in this conversation that way. So on this note, yes, so building digital culture within Generali, you talked a lot about this during the social business exchange event. Can you tell us a bit more on this concept of, I know that you're spending a lot of time within Generali as part of your role as well, teaching people how to become social advisor. And what was great that during the event, and I loved your presentation because you provided lots of frameworks, it was really clear and super visual as well. We can maybe touch on that later on. You mentioned a framework on how you, the framework that you came up with that you are using within Generali. How do you turn your agents into social advisors? If you could give us a bit of insight to that for our audience, that would be brilliant.
Yep. I mean, I would start at a high level, and really, this is it's a transformation, right? That's what it is. And like any transformation, it's a journey that has different phases in time. So to put it quite simple, I think there are probably 3 phases that we went through, or that we have a different approach, different methodologies in, and then we can deep dive into them. But the first phase was the buying, making sure that really it was all about engaging people to make sure that they're just present online, okay, that they're queuing up and they're really eager to be part of this program. That is definitely easier said than done, right? I would say we're over this phase. Okay, to put it into context, at Generali we have around 161,000 advisors globally. We work with the productive advisors. I'll give or take, that's like 70, 80,000, like really productive, good professional advisors. Close to 70% of those advisors are now online and being present and have a brand, etc. So they already bought into this idea.
70%, did you say?
Close. We're actually at 67.5%. I think the last figure that I got. So close to 70% are already present, but that's only being present, right? That's the first step. It's about getting them to buy into the process. It doesn't mean that they're doing what you want them to do. The second phase, the second part of the framework. Yeah, Justyna, sorry, go on.
Can I just ask you about this? Because you are then, in that case, a lot more on the maturity level as many companies within your industry. I can tell you that for sure, at least from our experience. How did you gain this buy-in? I'm just really curious. What would be your tips for our audience on how to gain this buy-in, especially on such a high level that you are experiencing it Generali?
Yep. So in terms of the buying, there's multiple ways that you can do it, right? The first thing, and probably the most important one, is showing the impact. Really. But of course, at the very beginning, when pretty much nobody's doing it, it's really hard. Still, you can use case examples because there are agents that are or advisors that are very proficient at Generali and outside of Generali, right? So definitely show me the value, and I'll be more eager to join, right? But that's really hard to do, in particular at the beginning. Second thing is make it easy for me. Simplify. Make sure that, if I want to join this program and you're telling me I need to post online, etc., have everything ready for me. And this is where, for instance, a partner of yours and a partner of us comes in, Sociable. So we have a platform that makes it much easier for the user to really be able to be online, be present, be engaging with the customers in social media. So make it very simple, make it fun, right? And by make it fun, what I mean is gamify the experience. Really try to bring in, like, for instance, in our case, just have salespeople, they're super competitive. And of course, there is the national pride, right? So competitive. So we really try to gamify the experience, and we really try to bring some rewards forward. We recognize their work in order for them to really engage more effectively. I would say those are the top three. We can then deep dive into some of them, or I can come up with a few more, but those are key areas that you need to work on.
These are great. Already brilliant. Thank you very much. Great tips. So then going back, so buy-in was the first stage, yes? And you gave me
Correct.
very specific tips on how you could gain buy-in. What would be the second stage?
So second stage would be the adoption, right? Okay, you got them there. Now really it's about them utilizing the tools that you're providing, utilizing the content that you're providing, and really being active, not just being present online, but actually really having the habit of, on a weekly basis or even daily basis, depending on where you are, making sure that you have some interaction with your customers online through social media. I would say we're now in the active. So in terms of activity, the last figure, I still don't have Q2 of this year, but Q1 of this year, we're at 49% of our advisors were actively sharing content online. For us, the definition, that means that you have to at least share 4 pieces of content per month. So, to be honest, I would like it to be a bit more demanding or more, in terms of the aspiration. But for now, this is what we have. So 4 pieces of content per month, you're deemed active.
That's brilliant. 49% of your advisors are doing at least 4 pieces of content per month.
Yeah, Justyna, but my target is 60% by the end of 2024. So we need to pick it up. We need to accelerate and pick it up, and really, like in any project, there's moments of growth, and then you plateau, and you have to think, okay, what can I do differently again? To really, and right now we're in a critical moment where we are close to 50, but breaking the 50 barrier it's honestly becoming very hard, and we have to rethink. We have to innovate again and really think, okay, how do we incentivize differently, or what other tools can we bring into the equation that makes it easier for them?
Okay. Brilliant. Someone said in the comments, Sandy Adams, hi. She said, I ask for 2 pieces per week. Okay, so
there you go.
2, so that's 8 per month at least, right? Depends how many days per month pass.
I would probably be at 0%. I mean, I don't know. It's what I mean. We started with 4. The reason is that this started 5 years ago, so the KPI was set 5 years ago. I think we, by the end of this year, we need to rethink on whether we want to increase it. Because I would agree that you need to post more often. And a lot of our advisors are doing it, definitely. I mean, we have all the stats. It's just the threshold that we utilize right now.
Okay.
And once they buy in, then, and you have them, in terms of really being active, they're present, they're active. The next stage, Justyna, is really the valuable stage, which is the engagement, right? It's not only about being active and posting, but it's about interacting and making sure that you engage, whether it's through the content, so outbound, or whether it's inbound, whether it is that you are utilizing an opportunity of somebody else posting. But it's about generating that engagement, generating that contact, that proximity with your customers and potential customers as well, through social media. And here, really, I think we've done an amazing job at Generali. It's not only about my program, but overall, we are really investing a lot of effort in educating our advisors on the importance of making sure that you contact your customer on a regular basis. And, you really care, basically. You really care. It's not only about when you sell something, but the post-sale and really interacting with them.
Okay, so you're wrapping the knowledge around, yes, how to be active on social media and how to engage with people via social media, how to build your personal brands is what you do as well after having that initial engagement, yes, and even post-sale. What is it that you do to continue having that relationship?
Correct. And right now, I would say in terms of the journey that we're in, we are somewhere between being active and engagement. So we're nearly there by 2024, and thinking then on this next strategic cycle. Definitely, our objective is to really just full on be engaging with customers and really have the right systems in place to be able not only to engage but also to monitor how we engage and really optimize the way that our advisors are engaging with our customers and prospective customers. Again, we are doing stuff. So something that that we put a lot of effort this year on was improving our review management online. So in the likes of Google My Business and the other listings, and we saw great results that perhaps we can talk about later on.
Okay, so you mean when you mentioned review management, you mean on Google, yes? When people can actually give you a review individually for the representative, the agent, or do you mean for Generali as a company?
So in my case, for Generali as a company, I think it's very easy. We work on the difficult part, which is the advisor itself, the 70,000 plus advisors that we have online that are productive, and really trying to make sure that either we are able to do it for them because they give us the possibility, or we give them the tools so that they can do it effectively. And it is mainly in Google My Business, but really it's, I think we work on 24 different online listings. Not all of them are major players in different countries. It really varies because, again, it's a global program, but it's 24 listings. And yeah, we've done amazing progress. I mean, last year, our average response time was over 60 days, so not great. Right now, we're at 3.2 days. Okay, so that is, to put it into context, 30% of consumers expect to be responded in less than 3 days if they have a bad review. We're responding in 3.2 days to all our reviews, good and bad reviews. Yeah, and really this is critical. The other day I was reading 57% of consumers are willing, they will change the perception of your business if you respond to a negative review. So we think it's critical. And it's an area where we've done a lot of strides, and we really try to educate our advisors that the inbound part, you need to be really reactive as well.
And it's great, right? Because in your education, it's interesting. You're going beyond social media, right? This is not social media. This is not just social media enablement. This is online enablement. Yes, you're building your presence online, not on one channel. The channel can change, right? We're seeing lots of changes at the moment, new channels appearing. I guess it's the principle of how to be active where your customers are or prospective customers are.
Absolutely. That you defined it perfectly, Justyna. So that is it. And as you said, every time we have more channels, the existing channels have new functionalities that you need to be able to really jump on and really take advantage of. So it's ever evolving, and you have to be very reactive, and it can be very hard, because I didn't mention it at the beginning, but the population of people we work with are 55 plus, and a lot of them are not digitally savvy. They really struggle with things that other population of the same age or a different age might find it very easy, but they've always worked the same way. They never had to use social media to, generate a very profitable business and a strong business. So it's hard to get, yeah.
There's that, and I can imagine there's the huge complexity of doing that at scale. So I'm really curious about this, and this links as well to what Sarah, I can see, put in the comments, that at the event you talked about programmatic approach to enabling all of these advisors using playbooks and gamified training. Like, I'm just curious if I could combine these two questions. How do you do this at scale? Do you do this at scale? I don't know. I'm just curious. Okay, how do you do it?
Yeah, we need a couple of hours. So now let's go through it. Let's try to dissect it. How do we do it at scale? There's a series of elements that I think are critical. Okay. A key element is having the right people at the right place. So at Generali, we have a role that is fundamental, and that is the digital sales champion. So this is a person, at least one person, that is present in each of the business units that we work with and that we run the program in, whose role is basically deploying the program, right? Ideally, this person is 100% dedicated to the role. Obviously, it works much better if they are, but it's not always the case. We don't always have the resources in place, but it's critical to have this person. Why? Because whatever you think of deploying at a global level, really then you need somebody to localize it, somebody that really understands the mindset of the agent in that specific country. I mean, my wife is from Romania and I travel to Romania quite often, but I don't know the mindset of an agent in Romania. So forget about the agent in Thailand or the agent in Argentina. You need to know the market really well. And the role of this person is absolutely critical in the deployment. Also, if you want to do a global program, and perhaps we didn't mention this one when we met in London, but it's really try to make it bottom up, right? If it comes from the bottom, it's much better. So we have multiple ways that we do this. One of them, for instance, we created what we call the Top Gun Academy. So I hope there is no copyright issue right now, but
I love this name.
And really, it's not for the elite, because you don't have to be the best digital agent, but it's for agents that are keen on digital. Okay, that they want to learn. They have the mindset. They're the kind of people that are eager to know more and they want to participate. Okay, so you have to select the right people. And basically, we invite agents from around the world with the complexity, going back to what you said of the global scale. Language is a barrier. I mean, it's hard. But we get them into a series of sessions and we pick their brains. We brainstorm with them. We show them different ideas that we have in mind. We test things with them. And actually, this is being very successful. From this interaction with them, we got two tools that have been critical at deploying the program. One of them is the digital maturity assessment. So we developed it, but based on our interactions with them, an assessment that we can go online. We look at your what we call digital presence, and depending on how many social media networks you have, we'll analyze between 200 to 400 data points. So it's quite exhaustive, and we'll create a personalized report of your current level of maturity in terms of your digital visibility. The second thing we developed by talking with this group was a playbook. So okay, they told us, you told me how I'm doing, and you told me I need to go into TikTok, but how do I do it? And that's when we developed this playbook, where basically we have a step-by-step guide on basically what social media you should use, depending on the objective you have, what kind of audience you will find in that network, what kind of content should you be posting, when. I mean, it's the etiquette, it's the do's and don'ts, and above all, very important, it showcases real examples of other agents who are successful in that specific social media. So really, when you show somebody that the guy just, a few kilometers away is actually generating business and doing really well in TikTok, then they're way more, they listen and they're more willing. But it's very important that this bottom up allowed us to then create two tools that tells you, this is how you are. This is your maturity level. This is how you move forward. Okay, this is your guiding star, our playbook, and it's a document that we continue to evolve. We had last week a workshop in Milan, and out of the workshop, where we didn't have the advisors, but we had the digital sales champions, so the people that work globally, and they gave us so many ideas of how we need to expand the playbook so that it continues to be used, and it helps us also make sure that there's some cohesiveness, in the global program. Everybody's using the same kind of approach. So, yeah.
Of course, so many questions. I need to stop myself because we will be here for the next few hours. But this is fascinating to have a tool developed inside your organization, looking at 200, did you say, to 400 different points to decide what is the digital maturity of each one of your agents. Wow. I've never heard of that being developed by a company, by agencies that provide training. Yes, but by a company itself, that just shows dedication to the importance of this. This is incredible. And the playbooks, I'm just curious, just digging into slightly a bit more into these playbooks. Who's responsible for collecting this information? I'm just curious, because in different companies, you would have marketing, sales enablement, sometimes maybe even L&D to prepare these type of materials. I'm just curious, and I don't know if this is digging far too much into detail, tell me if it is, but just what is your process of creating that kind of documentation? I guess training material, different people would call it different way.
Yeah, it's me alongside a couple of colleagues. So in the team we have one more person, and then our main partner. So we have a content partner that they support us strategically speaking. So I would say we're a team of four roughly, including the external partner. And everything is done in-house, Justyna. So we have a lot of visibility on what the countries are doing. We really try to always collect best practices. We keep asking them. But for this specific exercise, we had to dedicate a lot of time, okay, a lot of hours, man hours.
Imagine.
And it was a pretty exhaustive analysis. Obviously, then, how do we keep it up to date, or how do we continuously improve the document? We really rely on this network of DSCs, of digital sales champions. We tell them, guys, if you see the value in this document, please help us continue to increase the value, right? And they're awesome. I mean, and by the way, they're also very proud, because if you're in Bulgaria and you have 2 or 3 agents that are doing something that is magnificent, they're very happy to tell you, look at Bulgaria, we have these guys that are doing great. And we can showcase them, right? And then France will say, well, we're also doing something great, right? And you create this, not competition, but like a very healthy sense of pride, and also it's a way of recognizing. So when you give this playbook to the agents some of them are there, some of them are and they're super happy to be, oh wow, it's my LinkedIn that is being used as the best in class, or it's my TikTok and my videos that you're using to educate other advisors. I mean, obviously, you're proud of that, right? So it's like a circle, and once you get the ball rolling, it's not easy, but once it's rolling, really, you just get a lot of ideas coming in.
And you've got such a receptive audience as well in that sort of sense. Just going back to what you said before, salespeople are such a competitive bunch, right? And if they see that somebody else is performing, they may feel this fear of missing out. Like, what am I not doing that they are doing? How can I improve what I'm doing? And then suddenly there's a playbook, right, with examples, and just go, wow, well, if this is something that will help me perform better, achieve the goals that I have for myself, then this is the audience to do that, right? They very much focus on learning, on growth, on trying new things.
100%. And going back to the competition aspect. So we have to feed their hunger for competition. We created a global competition where locally you compete to be the best top 10 or top 20, it depends. But let's say each country has a local competition, but at the same time, all the advisors in that country are collectively competing for the country itself, right? We do this right now. This is the 3rd edition. So each year we improved it. And now we do it 3 different months. So it's 3 months throughout the year. And we do it in 3 different strategic periods of the year. And we have multiple incentives. I mean, at a local level, you're free to decide what kind of local incentives you want to offer. But at a global level as well, we offer the possibility to 2 countries, so the top countries, they get to bring a few people to an amazing flagship event that we have at Generali, which is called the Global Agent Excellence Contest. This is like the top 300 agents at Generali. We bring our CEO, we bring our managing director, we bring la creme de la, basically all the GMC members. Okay, so this is the elite in terms of volume of sales, the guys that are like the top dogs of the company. But if you win this digital competition, you get the opportunity to sit at the table with the elite guys. So 1, it helps us because they love to compete. But 2, again, it goes back to the recognition. You're going to this place where the elite agents are there, and they see that, oh, wait a minute, we have 5 agents that they're relatively small in terms of business, but they're here because they're the best digital agents. What have they done to be here?
Yeah.
And they learn from them as well. So yeah, it's great.
Brilliant. And you're so great at branding these events and initiatives as well, right? I think one that you mentioned in the event was Social World Championship.
Correct. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the Top Gun Academy that you've already mentioned. And there's something called Leo Awards as well, if I remember correctly.
The Leo Awards. So it's our Generali Oscars. But this is for really to recognize not the advisors themselves, but the network that supports us. So the DSCs, because they're the ones that put a lot of work, right? If and again, my piece of advice for anybody trying to deploy a program, this is key. It's a key element. This human person that is driving in the local market is the one that, obviously with the right tools and the right support, etc., will make the difference. And sometimes they're not really recognized for it, and so we wanted to create a global recognition for them where they themselves can put themselves forward if they believe that they were, for instance, we have a category that is innovation. And if I believe I did something innovative, I fill in a template, I record a short video, and I send over my self-nomination. And then my colleagues around the world, including myself, will vote all the different people that nominated themselves. And we have a series of categories in which you win. We give them a small reward, but above all, we bring in some top executives to the meeting so that they're recognized not only with something monetary, which is symbolic, to be honest, but way more with the visibility within the company of, being a top digital sales champion.
I love this. I love this, how you don't just link it to the revenue, but to the innovation as well, because innovation in the end will lead to either higher revenue or reduce costs or, I don't know, gain in larger market share. This is so much broader thinking about this than, the typical ways how these kind of programs could be measured. I'm just curious, tell us a bit more about measuring success. What else do you measure, just to give people ideas as well how they could learn from this?
Yeah, so again, I'll go back to the different stages because I think it's easier and it gives a good insight into how we progressed or matured along the way. So in the buying stage, it was all really about, okay, how many agents, first, how many countries, how many business units actually adhere to the program, okay? And that was a key milestone. We have 24, I believe now, 24, 25. I think perhaps one of them dropped out. But let's say 24 BUs that joined that are always working here. When you go into the activity, here we were measuring, okay, how many of our advisors have a social media account? At least one. How many of our advisors are actively posting online? Okay. How many of our advisors are also have a website, for instance? So there are a series of metrics that are quite simple, but really give you a good idea. And then the important part, right? When we go into the engagement side, I mean, here we measure all sorts of KPIs. So in terms of review management, some key metrics are the average score that we get, the time of the response time, and the positive sentiment, let's say, kind of. Okay, so we really look at, and the ratio of response, apologies, that's really important. So out of all the reviews that we get, how many are we responding, right? And to give you some insight, last year we were at 56% responded. Now we're at 86%. So out of all the reviews that our advisors collect, 86% are responded. We're responding 3.2 days on average. We have an average score of 4.2 right now. And yeah, we generated, so then aside from reviews, then there is how many, like if I continue Google My Business, then I'll go back to social. How many calls do we generate? How many, clicks to the office do we get? Or how many website visits do we get from it? We measure all this. For instance, calls, last year we generated 750,000 direct calls to our advisors. What we need to do now is bridge the gap, right? So, okay, we got 750,000 calls into advisors. I'm sure a lot of them was business. A lot of it became business. But we haven't bridged the gap. We're now starting to be able to bridge the gap. We have one market now that can actually track the end-to-end. So now we know what kind of call came in, what happened with the call, did a policy or a client came out of it. And that's to continue to improve the engagement part. We also look at, I mean, in some markets, of course, there's revenue, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be interested in this. So we have right now 4 markets that have the right solution in place to measure end-to-end revenue generated. So not only how many leads did I get, and by lead I mean somebody filling in a template, please call me. No, I mean going further, and how many euros did we actually get from this person. To mention one of them, so Portugal is what? Portugal, Spain, Romania, I mean Austria, those are 4 markets leading here. Portugal is probably going to hit somewhere between 1.2 million, 1.5 million this year of generated revenue from sales that are directly coming from our agents posting online.
Wow.
Yeah, no paid advertisement, no nothing, just our agents interacting and posting online. And it's, you know, they tell you themselves, you know, it represents like, I think they said around 2 to 3% of the overall revenue generated by the leads that the company generates in Portugal. So it's a small amount, but it's a great success. I mean, if each country generated 1 million euros, the program is super paid for everybody, right? Nobody would be questioning whether we need to do this or not, because it's self-financed and it's generating revenue. Yeah. And every year it increases, which is the most important thing as well. We see a clear curve ascending where the more we mature, the more business we generate. And obviously that's also very important, right, at the company level.
This is incredible. The fact that you are able to track that, I guess, on multi-channel level, right? Because it's not just, again, it's not just LinkedIn. It's not just, I don't know, their own personal website. I would imagine you've got trackable links all over the place to be able to do that. Do you know what that makes me think? There's a lot of companies that are not doing that still, that end-to-end revenue tracking, even from their PPC campaigns. Okay, so spending money on advertisement and still not being able to link that exactly what is that when it comes to the revenue, right? Because you have to have specific tools, you have to invest in developing the connection, you need to be consistent, making sure that you've got all of these trackable links. The fact that you are able to do that already from your social media activity and in general online presence of your advisors for 4 countries, that's incredible. That's fantastic.
I love that you're so positive. My mindset is always like, we don't do it. We barely do it, you know? And by the way, we started to do this 2 years ago. So really out of the 5 years, it took us 3 years to get 1 market where we could track. And as of this year, we have 4 markets now. And no, we're super happy, but really the way we see it is why not 15? I mean, why are we not able to do it all around? And you gave the answer, right? I mean, really, at least at Generali, in particular, the IT landscape is very fragmented. We all have different systems, and it's very hard. It can be very hard and time-consuming, but it's doable. And here for us, again, a part of it that has been very helpful has been sociable, definitely.
Okay. I think, you know, maybe you just don't realize, you know, how uncommon this is, you know, maybe just having conversations as well within the community and, you know, with people that you meet now, and I'm sure you're going to meet more because I'm sure people will connect with you as a result of this talk and hopefully the previous one as well. This is the way to go, right? What you're doing is very advanced, I would say, in comparison to many companies. So sometimes I would say my little advice is, in the pursuit of more and trying other things, I would say taking a step back and also going, hey, we're doing great, you know, we're actually doing quite a lot. That only comes from also knowing what other people are doing, right? It's hard to see that, but you know, this is the way to grow, right? To continuously improving. So nothing wrong with that either. So no, brilliant. Ignacio, amazing, absolutely amazing. I just didn't even realize it's been 40 minutes already. There you go, Sarah saying, what a brilliant growth mindset approach. It reminds me of the book, A Beautiful Constraint, recommended by Lee Welsh. Why not exceed the goal, not just reach it? There you go. There you go. That's another summary of that. And Lamar is saying, great to hear the strong ROI of social advisory. Ignacio, this interview, incredible interview, is coming to an end. So I just got final question for you from me, and I haven't seen any other questions from the audience. So unless there are any other ones now submitted, my final question is: what is it that I should have asked you about and I didn't, that you really wanted to share with the audience? Is there anything?
Yeah, I think we covered it was very exhaustive. Let me think. I mean, perhaps the barriers that we encountered, we did mention them, but I don't know if it will help other people feel like they're not alone. You know, that we're all the time continuously, you know, hitting ourselves against these walls that we find where we're trying to deploy this kind of program. And we did touch them a bit, you know, but for instance, the global scale, we mentioned it, the mindset a bit, but, you know, I think it's really important. And perhaps we spoke about a lot of techniques to change the mindset, right, of people, but we could do a whole other hour of the importance of really how critical it is to work on two levels, at the group level, so at the business unit level, on the mindset that they have, and at the advisory level, right? And everybody always thinks of the end user, but at least at Generali, you know, when I'm sure you'll hear it if you're working a global program, you talk with I don't know, Argentina, and they tell you, you know what, this program is amazing. It just won't work in Argentina. We're different. And in Argentina, it's not the case, you know. But I'm sure you all heard this before. This no, it's great for somebody else, not for me. And really, it's tough, but it's something that, you know, slowly but steadily you can work on. And perhaps next time we can dabble and deep dive into this mindset and change the behaviors.
I love this mindset, right? Believing that something can work. Yes. We've actually had we had a LinkedIn live with someone from LinkedIn talking about the growth mindset of salespeople. And I totally agree, right? This could be another big conversation about this, but it always starts with this. Yes. You making a decision. Hey, that is of value. That could be of value for me, right? Let me expose myself to this knowledge, to this experience, and see what happens, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's precisely that. It's getting them to really take the leap, you know, whether it's a bit of faith, or whether it's because they saw a colleague, or whether it's because they perceive the potential value and you remind you to create that Bergen platform. They take that step forward, and they try it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Ignacio, thank you so much. If people would like to learn more from you, where online they can usually find you? What is your platform place of choice?
Yeah, definitely. I would say LinkedIn is, you know, where I like to work the most. I think for my line of business is the most appropriate as well. So I'll be delighted to interact with whoever wants to interact, connect, have a chat, have a call, and definitely I look forward to participating also as the audience in some of your future podcasts. So I've been present in a few in the past, and I know I'll be here as well in the future. So I'm sure we will interact on the chat as well, in the comments.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ignacio, for joining us. And thank you, everyone who joined as well, who listened and who participated. This really makes a difference when we also have audience joining us on these conversations. We'll see you during our next LinkedIn Live, which is in about a couple of weeks' time. And if you missed any part of this conversation, you can listen to it on our podcast, which will be published later on today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Justyna. Thank you, Travel Impact. And thank you, everybody who's been present today. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Ignacio.